I'm going to be taking you through the 10 most important apps that you need to have on your phone before you get to Colombia. These apps cover everything from booking flights to accommodation to transportation to also some things that are going to make your time here much more efficient and pleasant. The first app that I recommend you get before you even book your flight to Colombia is Skyscanner. If you don't know what this is, Skyscanner is basically like a Google search, but it's for flights. So you type in where you want to go, you put in the dates, and it's going to search all the airlines and going to give you all the options in one easy to follow page. From there, you can apply a set of filters, for example, cheapest, most efficient, fastest. You can even put things on like departing time. So if you don't want to catch a flight at like 7 in the morning, you can put departure times 11 a.m. and after. This makes it really easy because you don't have to go to each individual airline and check, because that could take infinite amount of time. With this, it's only about 5 seconds and you immediately know the best flights available. And the great thing with this is you can even get flights cheaper than with the airline. Sometimes they're sold through a third-party travel agent, and I don't know exactly how they get their flights cheaper than the airline, but I'm assuming they buy them in bulk. When there's like a really good rate, they might just buy like 20 seats and then they resell them. Sounds a little bit dodgy, but I've used this many times. Websites like trip.com, mytrip.com, kiwi.com, all are partnered with Skyscanner, and you'll definitely see their flights coming up. You can use Skyscanner to book your flights obviously before you get to Colombia, but even to book the internal flights, say you come to Medellin, you want to visit Bogota, Cali, you can use Skyscanner to find the best flights within the country as well. Now that we're done booking flights, the next thing we need to do is book our accommodation. There's only two apps that I really recommend, and those are Airbnb and Booking. Both for different reasons. If you want to stay in hotels, obviously Booking is the better option. But if you want to get a home, then obviously you know that Airbnb is the one to go to. If you don't really care, then it's good to have both options and then pick the best value for you. I think for the most part, whenever I travel around Colombia, I've usually used Airbnb because they have the best options and the best price. And I don't really like staying in hotels because they normally don't have kitchens. But if you don't need a kitchen, you're happy to stay in a hotel, then you can get some really good deals on booking.com as well. So that was apps number 2 and 3, guys. Airbnb and booking.com, definitely must haves. Now our flights and accommodation is sorted. Next most important thing is how are we going to get around?
Before we get into the next part of the video, something that's actually much more important than any of the apps on this list is travel insurance. Make sure you get some form of travel insurance before you come to Colombia, because you never know what's going to happen. The one that I personally use is Safety Wing, and they'll cover you in case of emergency. So medical emergencies covered up to 250 grand with absolutely no excess for you to pay. If you want to learn more, or if you want to get a free quote, click the link that I left in the description and get yours now. With that said, let's get back to the next app you need to download.
If you have been living under a rock, you don't know how cheap getting around in Medellin is. Uber here for maybe a 30-minute drive can cost you as little as $5. I take, I don't know, maybe 50 Ubers a month. Each Uber averages at about $2 to $3. So Uber is the number one go-to app that you need to have for transportation. There's a range of options on there depending on what you want. There's an Uber standard option. There's also an Uber priority option. If you want to be picked up quicker, if you're in a hurry, you can pay a little bit more and get this option. You can also get taxis from Uber. The taxi option just came in a couple of months ago, and it's really good. Also, if you're in a hurry, because there's a lot more taxis than Ubers. So the chances are that the taxi will arrive much quicker. Also, if you're in a place that doesn't have that many drivers, there's usually a chance that there's going to be more taxis around as well. There's even an option called Uber Comfort. So if you're a bit bougie and you like to have like nicer, kind of more luxury car with air conditioning on, and you get to pick your music and stuff, you can pay a little bit more and get Uber Comfort too. There's one other app that you should know about though, and it's called InDriver. InDriver is basically like Uber, but there's no set price. You basically say, I want to go from here, let's call it Poblado to Laureles, and you just put in whatever price you're willing to pay. Drivers will make offers according to the price that you put in. So you put in like 10,000 pesos, they'll say 12,000, 11,000, 15,000, and there it'll show their name, their star rating, and how far away they are. So you can then pick to accept or decline their offer. I use this sometimes, not all the time. The one hang up I have about this is that it doesn't accept international cards as far as I know, and you always have to pay cash. People might not always have cash on them. That's why I really love Uber, because you can just get in, get to your spot, don't even have to think about paying. However, InDriver has also got me out of some spots sometimes when I've been, pretty far away from the city and there's been no Ubers around. but I've checked InDriver and there's been some around. So it's always good to have options just in case, and those are the best two options that have served me well. So flights, accommodation, transport, sorted. What's next? Communication. You might not have heard this if you're from the US, Australia, or the UK. When I was in Australia, I never used this app, but here everybody uses it. In all Latin America, this is the main form of communication, and that is an app called WhatsApp. So WhatsApp is basically like texting and calling, but it's all done through this one app. It doesn't use your carrier like network. It actually just uses your data. But this is the main form of communication here in Colombia. It's beautiful the way they use this. You can contact obviously people that you know, but you can also contact people like doctors, restaurants, hotels, all through this WhatsApp, and then you can just text them through there. In addition to that, whenever you go to a Colombian website, they will always have a link there, a little green circle, which is the WhatsApp logo. And if you click it, you'll be able to send them a message directly and ask them things about their business. So I'm sure you can see that this is an absolute must-have in Colombia. Before we get to the next app that you must have, I just want to let you know that I've been looking at some analytics lately, and I can see that many of you watching are not subscribed. Why? I don't know. But every Sunday I put out a video. These videos are all on the topic of living in Colombia or visiting Colombia as a foreigner. So if that's something you think you're gonna get value from, then make sure you hit the subscribe button. We're up to number 7 now, and number 7 is Google Translate. If you don't know yet, less than 5% of the Colombian population speaks any type of English. So it's very important that if you don't speak any Spanish, you have some way to at least ask basic questions. And the best way of that would be Google Translate. Google Translate's come a long way, and it's really good to the point now it even has Google Translate voice. You can just talk into it and it'll show up in Spanish, and they can talk into it and it's gonna show up in English for you. This is not a great way to have conversations and build relationships, but for asking basic directions or simple questions that you need answered in 1 or 2 lines, this is a great option. There's also a feature on Google Translate that translates text. So if you have a menu at a restaurant and you go somewhere where they don't have an English menu and you don't have any idea what anything is, you can just point your camera to the menu, click it, and it translates everything for you. This works with signs, this works with even letters, anything with text on it, it can translate for you into your own language. Absolute game changer. 8 on the list is an app called X Currency. I still use this every single day because I'm constantly doing the conversion between Colombian pesos, US dollar, and Australian dollars. So you can preload it with something like 6 currencies, which you can change at any time. And you just need to type in the figure in one of the currencies and it's going to translate it into all the others for you. So for example, if you go to a restaurant and you ask, hey, how much is this menu of the day? And they tell you 20,000 pesos, you're not going to have any understanding of, is that cheap? Is that expensive? So you just get out the X currency, punch in 20,000 under the Colombian pesos part, and it's going to translate it into US dollars for you. And then you're going to say, oh yeah, $5, that's pretty good. Number 9 on the list is an incredible app called Wise. I use this app for a long time to pay rent because I can transfer from my personal Australian bank account to my landlord's Colombian bank account. And it only takes seconds and the fee is super, super low. Another great feature of the Wise app, specifically for travelers, is that they recently released a Wise card. It's a prepaid travel card. If you don't know how these things work, you basically preload it with a set currency. So you're coming to Colombia, you would preload it with Colombian pesos. And when you use the card, you pay with those pesos and you pay in local currency. So you avoid international transaction fees. And what's more, you can even use it at the ATMs to get cash out. Last I checked, you could do 2 transactions per month to a value of about $250. And there was no charge for these transactions. But the best part of Wise is that it's really, really great to pay locals for any type of services. So if you're gonna live here for any period of time, then you must have this app. Now we're at number 1, the best app in the history of Colombia. I love this app so much that I actually made a whole separate video about it. And that app is Rappi. Rappi, in simple terms, is a delivery service that delivers food, as in groceries, food as in takeaway, medicine, clothes, electronics, basically anything you want can be delivered to your front door, often in half an hour or less. There's even a turbo option that delivers to your house in less than 15 minutes. I highly suggest you get this app because this has made my life so much easier. If you want to know more about this, check out this video because, as I said, I made a whole video about it that I love it so much and I think you will as well.